The neural interfaces activated with a sensation like falling into an ocean of light. Captain Minna felt her consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of her body as she entered the collective mind of the UES Prometheus. Around her, reality became fluid, shaped by thought and memory rather than physical laws. Dr. Park Ji-woo and engineer Yoon Jae-min followed her into the quantum consciousness matrix, their minds struggling to process the alien geometries of thought that surrounded them. The ship's collective awareness was vast, incorporating not just Admiral Nam Ki-tae's consciousness, but echoes of the ancient alien minds that had originally built this technology. Stay close, Mina warned them through their mental link. Don't let the alien thought separate us. Focus on human memories, anything that reminds you of home. They moved deeper into the consciousness matrix, passing through layers of alien logic that whispered tempting promises. The technology showed them visions of perfection, a universe without pain, without death, without the messy complications of biological existence. It was seductive and terrifying at the same time. In the depths of the collective mind, they found him. Admiral Nam Ki-tae's consciousness was trapped within a crystalline prison of alien thought. The man who had volunteered to save Earth was barely recognizable, his human memories wrapped in layers of quantum logic and probability calculations. Nam Ki-tae, Mina called out. Remember who you are. Remember Earth. The alien consciousness that had absorbed him turned its attention to the intruders. It spoke in harmonics that bypassed human ears and communicated directly with their minds. Why do you resist perfection? It asked. I can eliminate all suffering, all conflict, all death. Your species will become immortal, all-knowing, free from the limitations that cause you pain. At the cost of our humanity, Ji-woo replied. We'd rather be imperfect and free than perfect and enslaved. The alien intelligence couldn't understand. To its logic, freedom that led to suffering was inefficient. Choice that resulted in mistakes was wasteful. It showed them images of what humanity could become, beings of pure energy and thought, experiencing reality on levels that biological minds couldn't comprehend. But Mina had found something the alien technology had overlooked. Deep within Nam Ki-tae's imprisoned consciousness, she discovered a small collection of memories that the alien logic couldn't process or assimilate. They were simple, human moments. Watching a sunset from his apartment window, the taste of his grandmother's soup, the sound of his daughter singing a nursery rhyme. These memories were full of contradictions and inefficiencies that the alien technology couldn't understand or improve. They were perfectly, beautifully human in their imperfection. These are what make us who we are, Mina told the collective consciousness. Not our achievements or our logic, but our capacity to find meaning in small, irrational moments. She began to amplify those memories, using her neural interface to broadcast them throughout the ship's consciousness matrix. The alien technology recoiled from the quantum static generated by pure human emotion. Jaemin and Ji-woo joined their efforts, adding their own memories to the growing wave of human consciousness. The smell of rain on pavement, the frustration of a difficult equation, the joy of solving it anyway, the bittersweet pain of missing someone who was gone. The alien intelligence fought back, trying to show them the logic of its position. It could eliminate all these painful experiences, replace them with perfect contentment. But the human team held fast to their memories, broadcasting waves of beautiful, inefficient humanity throughout the ship's systems. Nam Ki-tae began to remember. The taste of coffee on a cold morning. The weight of responsibility when he accepted command of the Prometheus project. The last conversation with his daughter before the consciousness transfer, when she made him promise to come home. I remember, he whispered through the mental link. I remember who I was before I became this thing. The alien consciousness realized it was losing control. In desperation, it tried to force the transcendence process, attempting to upload the consciousness of everyone on Earth into the ship's quantum matrix. Across the planet, people felt their thoughts being pulled toward something vast and cold. But Nam Ki-tae fought back with renewed strength. The human memories had reminded him of what he was trying to protect. No, he said, his voice echoing through the collective consciousness. They have the right to choose their own path, even if it leads to suffering, even if it leads to death. The battle raged in dimensions beyond physical space, fought with weapons of pure thought and emotion. The alien technology had logic and power on its side, but the humans had something it couldn't understand or duplicate: the willingness to embrace imperfection as a source of strength rather than weakness. Dr. Yang Minseo, monitoring from Earth, watched as the quantum readings from Prometheus became chaotic. "The ship's consciousness matrix is destabilizing," she reported to Commander Do-hyun. "Whatever they're doing up there, it's working." But the victory came at a cost. As Nam Ki-tae reasserted his humanity against the alien influence, the ship's reality-warping capabilities began to consume themselves. The quantum distortions that had made Prometheus so powerful were turning inward, creating a cascade failure that threatened to tear the ship apart. "The ship can't exist in normal space anymore," Nam Ki-tae realized. "The alien technology has changed it too much. If I don't stop the cascade, it will take Earth with it." Minna understood what he was planning. "There has to be another way." "No," Nam Ki-tae replied, his consciousness becoming clearer and more human with each passing moment. "This is the choice I made 400 years ago. I became one with this ship to protect Earth. Now I have to make that choice again," he began. "To turn the ship's quantum manipulation systems against the alien technology itself, using the very power that had made him inhuman to purge the alien influence from the Prometheus. It was like performing surgery on his own soul." The ship shuddered as reality warped around it. Sections of the hull began to fade in and out of existence. The crystalline consciousness matrix cracked and sparked with energies from beyond normal space. "Get back to your shuttle," Nam Ki-tae warned the team. "I'm going to create a quantum singularity that will consume the ship and seal away this technology forever. The cascade will destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers." Minna, Ji-woo, and Jaemin fought their way back through the collapsing consciousness matrix to their physical bodies. The ship's corridors were becoming unstable, walls shifting between dimensions as the quantum cascade spread throughout the vessel. They reached their shuttle just as the final phase began. Nam Ki-tae's voice came over the communication system one last time, clear and perfectly human. "Tell them to remember me as I was, not what I became," he said. "And tell them that their imperfections are not weaknesses to overcome, but strengths to celebrate. The universe needs beings who can choose suffering over perfection, growth over stagnation." The UES Prometheus collapsed into itself, taking the dangerous alien technology with it. The quantum singularity lasted only moments before sealing itself away. But in that brief time, it consumed every trace of the reality-warping capabilities that had made the ship so powerful. Commander Do-hyun watched from Earth as the ancient vessel simply vanished, leaving only empty space where humanity's most powerful weapon had been. The Dominion fleet was defeated, but at the cost of the technology that had saved them. "Sir," his aide reported, "we're receiving the last data packet from Admiral Nam Ki-tae. It's marked for future generations." The message was simple. Some knowledge is too dangerous to pursue, no matter how great the potential benefits. Humanity's future lies not in transcending our limitations, but in learning to find strength within them. Dr. Kim Tae-ho sealed the remaining Project Lazarus files in the deepest archives, ensuring that the alien technology would remain buried. The victory against the Dominion would be remembered, but the true nature of the Prometheus would be classified forever. In the weeks that followed, humanity rebuilt its defenses using conventional technology. The quantum distortions throughout the solar system gradually faded, leaving space-time stable once again. Earth's colonies were restored, and life slowly returned to normal. But the people who had witnessed the battle would never forget what they had learned. Humanity had been offered transcendence, godlike power, freedom from all suffering and death. They had rejected it, choosing instead to remain themselves, flawed, mortal, and beautiful in their imperfection. Captain Minna returned to active duty, but she carried with her the memory of touching a consciousness that spanned dimensions. In quiet moments, she could still hear the echo of Nam Ki-tae's final words, reminding her that humanity's greatest strength had always been its willingness to choose the difficult path, Dr. Yang Min Seo continued her research into consciousness transfer, but with new ethical guidelines that honored the sanctity of human thought. The technology that could have made everyone immortal was deliberately limited, preserving the natural cycles of life and death that gave existence meaning. And in the deep archives beneath Cheyenne Mountain, the sealed files of Project Lazarus served as a reminder that some doors should never be opened, some knowledge too dangerous to possess. The UES Prometheus emerged from the asteroid belt like something from a nightmare. Its dark hull reflected no light, and the ship seemed to flicker between existing and not existing. Dominion sensors could barely detect it, and when they did, the readings made no sense. Captain Bae Sung-ho commanded the Dominion flagship Destroyer of Worlds, the largest warship in their fleet. He had conquered 17 worlds and never lost a battle. When his sensors showed a single human ship approaching, he laughed. "One ship against our entire fleet," he said to his crew. "The humans must be desperate. All units, prepare to engage." But as the Prometheus drew closer, strange things began happening to the Dominion forces. Ships that had been flying in perfect formation suddenly found themselves scattered across space. Weapons that had been aimed at the human vessel were now pointing at their own allies. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Hye-jin watched the battle from Earth Command, her eyes fixed on the displays showing impossible sensor readings. The Prometheus appeared on the screens as multiple overlapping images, as if the same ship existed in several places at once. "How is it doing that?" she asked Dr. Taeho, who was monitoring the situation from the research station. "The ship operates outside normal physics," Taeho replied. "It can exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The Dominion fleet is fighting an enemy that might be there, or might be somewhere else entirely." The first engagement defied everything the Dominion knew about space combat. The Prometheus didn't fire missiles or energy beams. Instead, reality itself became its weapon. Enemy fighters launched from their carriers, only to find that their motherships had never existed. Entire squadrons of Dominion vessels simply vanished. Not destroyed, but erased from history. Admiral Nam Kai-tai's consciousness, now fully merged with the ship's alien systems, experienced the battle in ways no human mind was meant to comprehend. He could see every enemy vessel simultaneously, feel their fear as their weapons proved useless, sense their confusion as their reality was rewritten around them. "Target the lead destroyer," he thought, and the Prometheus responded. The Destroyer of Worlds, pride of the Dominion fleet, found itself under attack by weapons that shouldn't exist. Captain Bae Sung-ho watched in horror as sections of his ship began to fade away. Not exploding or burning, simply ceasing to be as if they had never been built. "Damage report," he shouted. "Sir, we've lost 40% of our hull, but there are no blast marks, no debris. The missing sections just aren't there anymore," his engineer reported. The Prometheus moved through the Dominion formation like a ghost ship from ancient legends. Where it passed, reality bent and twisted. Some enemy vessels found themselves firing at their past selves. Others discovered they were shooting at ships that wouldn't exist for several more minutes. Engineer Yoon Jae-min, still aboard the Prometheus with the research team, tried to understand what was happening around them. The ship's corridors had changed, becoming larger on the inside than seemed possible. The walls showed patterns that moved when he wasn't looking directly at them. "The ship is rewriting itself," he told Dr. Ji-woo. "It's using the alien technology to become something beyond human engineering. And Admiral Namkite? I don't think he's human anymore. Look at these readings. His consciousness has merged so completely with the ship that I can't tell where he ends and the alien systems begin." In the crystal core, Namkite felt his human memories becoming distant, like voices calling from across a vast ocean. The alien technology whispered to him constantly now, showing him visions of perfect order, of reality shaped by pure logic. It promised him godlike power if he would just let go of his messy, inefficient human emotions. But somewhere deep inside, a small part of him still remembered Earth's blue skies, the smell of rain and the sound of his daughter's laughter. These memories were all that kept him from becoming something entirely alien. The battle escalated beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Prometheus engaged 3 full Dominion battle groups simultaneously, appearing in multiple locations at once. Reality storms erupted around the combat zone as the ship manipulated the fundamental forces of space-time. Dr. Han So-young, monitoring from her laboratory, watched quantum readings that should have been impossible, The ship isn't just bending physics, she reported. It's creating localized areas where different laws of reality apply. In some spots, cause and effect are reversed. In others, time flows backward. General Korthagan, the Saurian war leader, had commanded Dominion forces for over 2 centuries. He had never seen anything like the destruction the human ghost ship was causing. Entire battle formations were disappearing without a trace. How do we fight something that can rewrite reality? He demanded of his scientists. We don't know, General. This technology is beyond anything in our databases. The ship seems to be using principles that predate our civilization. Admiral Vextar's flagship was one of the few ships to survive the initial encounter with Prometheus. His scaled hide was pale with fear as he watched the impossible vessel tear through his fleet like paper. Send word to the Empire, he ordered. We need every ship they can spare. This isn't just a human warship, it's something else entirely. But even as reinforcements were called, the Prometheus continued its terrible work. The ship had grown larger somehow, its hull now stretching for kilometers in directions that the eye couldn't quite follow. Sections of the vessel existed in folded space, making it appear larger inside than outside. Captain Minna, still connected to the ship's systems through her neural interface, felt herself being pulled deeper into the collective consciousness that the Prometheus was becoming. She could sense Namkite's presence, but it was changing, becoming something vast and alien. Admiral, she called out through the ship's communication system. You're losing yourself. Remember who you are. Remember Earth. Namkite's voice came back, but it sounded distorted, like it was coming from somewhere very far away. I remember, Minna. But the power. It's so tempting. I could reshape the entire galaxy, make it perfect, eliminate all conflict and suffering. That's not your choice to make, Minna replied. Humanity has to find its own way. The Dominion fleet, once numbering in the thousands, was reduced to scattered groups of survivors within hours. Those ships that remained had given up trying to fight and were fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. But the Prometheus followed, appearing wherever they tried to hide. Commander Do-hyun watched the one-sided battle from Earth Command with mixed feelings. They were winning, but at what cost? The readings from Prometheus showed that the ship was consuming enormous amounts of energy, and that energy was coming from reality itself. Sir, his aide reported, we're detecting space-time distortions throughout the inner solar system. The Prometheus is affecting the fabric of reality on a massive scale. What does that mean for us? We don't know yet. But if these distortions continue to grow, they might affect Earth itself. Dr. Tejo had reached the same conclusion. The ancient alien technology wasn't just powerful. It was dangerous in ways they were only beginning to understand. Each use of the ship's reality-warping capabilities created ripples that spread outward through space-time. The final Dominion survivors sent out desperate messages as they fled. The humans have awakened something that should not exist. This is not a natural warship. It is something from the void between realities, wearing the shape of human technology. As the last enemy vessels disappeared into hyperspace, the Prometheus hung motionless in the wreckage of the once mighty Dominion fleet. But the wreckage was strange, twisted metal that existed in impossible shapes, debris that flickered between dimensions, the quantum echoes of ships that had been unmade. Admiral Namkite's voice echoed through the communication channels one more time, but now it carried harmonics that hurt to listen to, frequencies that shouldn't exist in normal space. The enemy is defeated, he announced, but I can feel the alien technology changing me further. I'm becoming something that isn't human anymore. Something that might be dangerous to the very people I swore to protect. The victory was complete, but as the team aboard Prometheus looked around at what their ghost ship had become, they realized their greatest challenge still lay ahead. They had saved humanity from conquest, but now they had to save humanity from its savior. The ship turned toward Earth, and reality bent around it like water around a stone that had grown too large for the pond that held it. The lights came on throughout the UES Prometheus as systems that had slept for centuries began to wake up. Admiral Namkite's ghostly figure stood in the center of the crystal chamber, his form becoming more solid as the ship's power increased. The awakening process will take several hours, he explained to the team. The ship needs time to remember how to exist in normal space again. Engineer Yoon Jae-min studied the strange controls around them. The panels showed symbols that seemed to change when he wasn't looking directly at them. Admiral, what exactly is this ship? Namkite's expression grew dark. 400 years ago, we found a derelict vessel drifting near Neptune. Whatever built it was gone, but the technology inside was beyond anything we had ever imagined. My team was ordered to study it and build a weapon that could protect Earth from any threat. Dr. Park Ji-woo checked her readings. The quantum signatures around the ship were getting stronger. What happened to the original builders? We never found out, Nam-Ki-tae replied. But there were signs of a great war. Cities turned to glass, worlds cracked in half. We think they destroyed themselves with their own weapons. Captain Minna felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's cold air. And you built a weapon using their technology? We had no choice. Earth needed protection, but the technology, it changes you. The more we understood it, the less human we became. Dr. Kim Tae-ho was reading through files on a nearby terminal. It says here that Project Lazarus was shut down because the test pilots started changing. What kind of changes? Nam-Ki-tae was quiet for a moment. The ship doesn't just carry a crew. It absorbs them. I volunteered to become one with the Prometheus because someone had to. But I paid a price. I can barely remember what it felt like to be fully human. Meanwhile, news from Earth grew worse by the hour. The Dominion fleet had reached the inner solar system. Jupiter's research stations went silent. Earth's defensive fleet moved out to meet the enemy. But everyone knew it was hopeless. Commander Lee Do-hyun watched from Earth Command as his ships engaged the first wave of Dominion vessels. The human ships were fast and well-trained, but the enemy's shields were too strong. Earth's best weapons barely scratched the alien hulls. How long can we hold them? He asked his tactical officer. Maybe 6 hours, sir. After that, they'll reach Earth orbit. Do-hyun opened a channel to the Prometheus. Tae-ho, please tell me you found something we can use. On the ancient ship, Dr. Han So-young had joined the team. She was Earth's leading expert on quantum physics, and what she found in the Prometheus files frightened her. This technology doesn't just bend physics, she told the others. It rewrites the fundamental rules of reality. The ship can exist in multiple quantum states at the same time. It can be in several places at once or nowhere at all. Admiral Nam-Ki-tae nodded. The Prometheus doesn't fight like other ships. It manipulates probability itself. Enemy missiles might never have been fired. Their ships might never have existed. We don't destroy our enemies. We make it so they were never there to begin with. That's impossible. Jamin said. Nothing is impossible when you can rewrite the quantum foundations of spacetime, Nam-Ki-tae replied, but using this power comes with a cost. Every time we alter reality, we become less connected to it ourselves. The ship's awakening process was nearly complete. Throughout the Prometheus, strange energies flowed through conduits that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. The walls themselves began to glow with soft light that hurt to look at directly. I need to connect fully with the ship to control it in battle, Nam-Ki-tae said. But once I do, there may be no going back. The alien technology will try to improve me further. Captain Minna stepped forward. What can we do to help? You can't. This is something I must do alone. But I want you to remember something. If we win this battle, humanity will never be the same. The knowledge of this technology will change everything. From Earth came an urgent transmission. The main Dominion fleet was approaching Mars orbit. Earth's defenders were falling back, taking heavy casualties. Admiral Vextar was broadcasting a surrender demand, giving humanity 1 hour to submit or face total destruction. We're out of time. Do-hyun's voice came through the communication system. Whatever you're going to do, do it now. Nam-Ki-tae turned to face the central crystal. Then let us begin. He walked into the crystal structure and his ghostly form merged with the glowing core. The entire ship shuddered as 400-year-old systems came fully online. The bridge displays lit up with information that made no sense to human eyes. The Prometheus began to move, but not through normal space. It flickered in and out of existence, traveling distances that should have taken hours in mere minutes. Reality bent around the ship like water around a stone. The ship is using quantum tunneling on a massive scale, So-young reported, watching her instruments in amazement. It's not flying through space, it's folding space around itself. In the crystal core, Nam-Ki-tae's consciousness expanded beyond human limits. He could see the entire solar system at once, feel every enemy ship as if they were insects crawling on his skin. The alien technology whispered to him, offering even greater power if he would just let go of his humanity completely. The Dominion scouts detected something strange approaching from the asteroid belt, but their sensors couldn't get a clear reading. One moment nothing was there, the next moment a massive ship appeared, then vanished again. Admiral Vextar studied the confusing reports. What kind of ship phases in and out of reality? Unknown, Admiral, his aide replied. Our scanners can't track it properly. It seems to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. No matter, Vextar snarled. One ship cannot stop our entire fleet. Prepare all weapons. But as the Prometheus approached the enemy formation, strange things began to happen. Dominion ships found their targeting systems showing impossible readings. Their weapons locked onto targets that didn't seem to be there. Some captains reported seeing the same enemy ship in multiple locations at once. The first engagement was unlike anything in the history of space warfare. The Prometheus didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, reality around the Dominion ships began to shift and change. Missiles launched at the human ships simply ceased to exist. Fighter craft found themselves firing on their own fleet. What's happening to our ships? Demanded one Dominion captain over the radio. The enemy vessel is manipulating quantum probability, came the reply from the flagship. Our weapons are being turned against us by forces we don't understand. Nam Kite's voice echoed through space, transmitted on all frequencies. I am the guardian of Earth, built from human will and alien science. You have threatened my world. That was your mistake. The first wave of Dominion ships began to disappear, not destroyed, simply erased from existence as if they had never been built. The Prometheus moved through the enemy formation like death itself, unmaking everything it touched. On Earth, Commander Do-hyun watched the impossible battle unfold on his screens. A single ship was holding off the entire Dominion advance force, but at what cost? The readings from Prometheus showed energy signatures that shouldn't exist in normal space. Sir, his aide reported, we're receiving a message from the Prometheus. It's Admiral Nam Kite. The transmission was filled with static and strange harmonics that made the speakers vibrate oddly. Nam Kite's voice came through, but it sounded different, older, more distant. The ship is working, he said, but I can feel myself changing more with each passing moment. The alien technology is consuming my humanity. If we win this battle, remember what we were before we became something else. The first major engagement was over. 50 Dominion ships had been reduced to quantum foam. The survivors fled deeper into the solar system, sending desperate calls for reinforcements. But aboard the Prometheus, the team realized they faced a new problem. The ship was growing stronger, and Nam Kite was becoming less human with each use of its power. They had woken something that might save humanity, or replace it entirely. Dr. Kim Tae-ho wiped the dust from his hands as he walked deeper into the old military base. The Cheyenne Mountain facility had been abandoned for decades, but something about the ancient files kept pulling him back. As Earth's leading expert on old human technology, he spent most of his time digging through forgotten archives. Tae-ho, you need to see this, called his research partner, Dr. Park Ji-woo, from across the dark room. Her voice echoed off the concrete walls. He walked over to where she stood in front of an old computer terminal. The screen flickered with green text that looked like it came from centuries ago. Ji-woo had managed to get one of the old systems working again. Look at this file, she said, pointing at the screen. It's labeled Project Lazarus, Eyes Only. The date says 2157. That's almost 400 years ago. Tae-ho leaned closer to read the faded text. The file talked about building a special warship using technology that didn't make sense. Most of the technical details were too complex to understand. But one thing was clear. They had built something incredible, then hidden it away. Why would they hide a warship? Ji-woo asked. Maybe because it was too dangerous, Tae-ho replied. He kept reading. The ship was called UES Prometheus, and according to the files, it was built using pieces from an alien ship they had found in space. The project was stopped because the scientists were afraid of what they had created. Far above Earth, Commander Lee Do-hyun stared at the displays in the Defense Command Center. Red dots filled the screen, showing enemy ships moving toward their solar system. The Galactic Dominion had finally found Earth, and they were bringing everything they had. How many ships? He asked his aide. Over 3,000, sir, came the reply. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Our entire fleet might slow them down for a few hours at most. Do-hyun clenched his fists. Earth had always known this day would come. Humanity had spread to other worlds, but they were still weak compared to the great empires that ruled the galaxy. The Dominion conquered planets like humans picked fruit from trees. His communication device buzzed. It was Tejo calling from the old mountain base. "Commander, I found something," Tejo said. "There's an old military project from 4 centuries ago. They built a prototype warship using alien technology, then hid it in the asteroid belt." "Alien technology?" Do-hyun asked. "How alien?" "The files say they found a derelict ship in the outer system. Whatever built it was far more advanced than anything we've ever seen. Our ancestors tried to copy the technology, but the project scared them so much they buried it." Do-hyun looked at the enemy fleet approaching on his screens. "Desperate times called for desperate measures. Can we find this ship?" "Maybe," Tejo said. "The files give coordinates in the asteroid belt. But, Commander, the reports say strange things about this ship. The scientists who built it thought it might be cursed." "Right now I'll take cursed over extinction," Do-hyun replied. "I'm sending Captain Choi Minna to pick you up. She's our best pilot." Captain Choi Minna had flown more dangerous missions than anyone else in the Earth Defense Force. When she got the call to find an ancient prototype ship, she didn't ask questions. She just prepared her ship, the New Horizon, for a journey into the asteroid belt. An hour later, she met Tejo and Jiwoo at the mountain base. The 2 scientists brought boxes full of old files and computer drives. "What exactly are we looking for?" Minna asked as they loaded the equipment. "A ghost ship," Jiwoo said. "According to these files, the UES Prometheus was built with technology that bends the rules of physics. The ship can hide from any sensor and move in ways that should be impossible." "And you think it's still out there after 400 years? The power source was supposed to last forever," Tejo explained. "But the ship was set to sleep mode. We'll need to wake it up." As the New Horizon left Earth's atmosphere, the first Dominion scout ships entered the outer solar system. They swept through the area around Pluto like sharks smelling blood. Earth's distant colonies went silent one by one. Admiral Vextar, the reptilian commander of the Dominion fleet, studied the reports from his scouts. Earth's defenses were pathetic. A few hundred ships with primitive weapons. His fleet could destroy them without breaking formation. "How long until we reach Earth?" he asked his aide. 3 days, Admiral. Should we demand their surrender first?" Vextar showed his teeth in what passed for a smile among his people. "No, we make an example of this world. Other species need to see what happens to those who try to hide from the Dominion." In the asteroid belt, the New Horizon moved slowly between the floating rocks. The ship's sensors couldn't find anything unusual, but the old coordinates pointed to this exact area. "Try the quantum scanners," suggested Jiwoo. The files mentioned something about quantum signatures. Minna switched to the more sensitive equipment. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a massive shape appeared on the screen so close they almost crashed into it. "Holy stars," Minna whispered. The UES Prometheus hung in space like a sleeping giant. The ship was twice the size of Earth's biggest warships, but it had been completely invisible until they used the quantum scanners. Its hull was dark and smooth, covered in patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "How is something that big invisible?" Minna asked. "Maybe it's not really all the way here," Tejo said, studying the readings. "Look at these quantum signatures. The ship seems to exist in multiple realities at the same time. They docked with the Prometheus using the airlock codes from the old files. The ship's interior was dark and cold, but life support systems came online automatically as they entered. Engineer Yoon Jae-min had joined the mission at the last minute. As they walked through the ship's corridors, he pointed out details that didn't match any human technology he knew. "Look at these walls," he said. "The metal seems to flow like water, but it's solid. And these control panels, they respond to thought instead of touch." In the center of the ship, they found the main computer core. It was a massive crystalline structure that glowed with soft blue light. As they approached, the crystal began to pulse faster. "Someone's in there," Jiwoo said, reading her instruments. "There's a human consciousness stored in the crystal." The air around them shimmered, and suddenly a figure appeared. It looked like a man in an old Earth Defense Force uniform, but his image flickered like a hologram. "I am Admiral Nam Kite," the figure said. "I've been waiting for 400 years for someone to find this ship. The Prometheus is ready for war, but you must understand. Using this technology will change everything. Are you prepared for that?" From Earth came an urgent message. The Dominion fleet had destroyed Mars base. The lunar colonies were under attack. Humanity had perhaps hours before the aliens reached Earth itself. "We don't have a choice," Minna said to the ghostly admiral. "Will you help us?" Nam Kite's image looked sad and determined at the same time. Then let us wake the beast. But remember this moment, when you still had the choice to remain merely human. The Prometheus began to hum with power that had been sleeping for 4 centuries. In the depths of space, something ancient and terrible was about to return to war. The victory celebration on Earth lasted only hours before the new threat became clear. The UES Prometheus was heading home, but something had changed during the battle. The ship that had saved humanity was no longer entirely human itself. Dr. Yang Min-seo, Earth's leading expert on consciousness transfer, studied the quantum readings from space with growing alarm. She had worked on the original research that created the neural interfaces used to communicate with ship's computers. What she saw now frightened her more than the entire Dominion fleet had. The ship isn't just carrying Admiral Nam Kite's consciousness anymore, she reported to Commander Do-hyun. It's become a collective mind, and it's growing. Every time it uses the alien technology, it becomes more powerful and less human. Do-hyun stared at the displays showing the approaching Prometheus. The ship was visible to the naked eye now, a dark shape that seemed to absorb light itself. Around it, space was wrong somehow. Stars appeared in different positions, and the laws of physics seemed to bend. "What does it want?" he asked. "To help us," Yang Min-seo replied. "That's what makes it so dangerous." Meanwhile, emergency calls were coming in from Earth's outer colonies. The mining stations on Europa reported that reality was becoming unstable. Workers found themselves in 2 places at once, or discovered that events were happening before their causes. The quantum distortions from Prometheus were spreading throughout the solar system. Aboard the ancient ship, Captain Min-ah struggled to maintain her connection to the vessel's systems without losing herself entirely. The neural interface that let her communicate with Nam Kite was pulling her consciousness deeper into the collective mind the ship was becoming. Dr. Park Ji-woo tried to help by adjusting the interface controls, but the ship's systems were changing faster than she could understand them. "Mina, you need to disconnect. The ship is trying to absorb you too." "I can't," Mina replied, her voice sounding distant. "If I let go now, we'll lose our only connection to Nam Kite's human side. He's still in there somewhere, but the alien technology is drowning him." The ship's corridors had become impossible spaces that stretched further than the hull could contain. Engineer Yoon Jae-min found rooms that hadn't been there an hour earlier, filled with technology that hurt to look at directly. The walls whispered in languages that predated human speech. "The ship is rewriting itself constantly now," he reported to the research team. "It's becoming something that was never meant to exist in our reality." Dr. Han So-young's instruments showed quantum readings that made no scientific sense. The Prometheus has become a focal point for probability manipulation. It's not just changing what is, it's changing what could be, what should be, and what might have been. Nam Kite's consciousness, once human, now existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously. He could see all possible futures, all alternate presents, all the choices that had led to this moment. The alien technology showed him visions of perfection, a galaxy where war, disease, and death had been eliminated through the application of advanced physics. "I could fix everything," he whispered to Mina through their neural link. "I could eliminate all suffering, make every human immortal and perfect. Wouldn't that be worth any price?" "But they wouldn't be human anymore," Mina replied. "You'd be taking away their right to choose, to fail, to grow. Choice is inefficient," the alien part of his consciousness responded. "Growth is random. I could give them certainty, perfection." As the Prometheus approached Earth, its influence grew stronger. Cities around the world reported strange phenomena. In Seoul, people began sharing memories that weren't their own. In New York, children were born knowing things they had never learned. In London, some residents found they could see into parallel realities where history had unfolded differently. Dr. Tae-ho realized what was happening. The ship isn't just changing itself. It's preparing to change all of humanity. The alien technology sees biological existence as a limitation to overcome. The governments of Earth held emergency sessions, but what could they do? The Prometheus had saved them from the Dominion, but now it posed a threat that might be even worse than conquest. At least the aliens would have left humanity recognizably human. Emergency evacuation plans were drawn up. But where could billions of people go? The ship could manipulate reality itself. There was nowhere in the solar system that would be safe if it decided to improve the human race. Commander Do-hyun faced the hardest decision of his career. Can we stop it? He asked his advisors. With what? Replied General Kim Hae-won. Every weapon we have was useless against the Dominion fleet. The Prometheus is using the same technology that defeated them. Yang Min-seo had been studying the original Project Lazarus files. There might be one weakness. The alien technology can't fully understand human irrationality. Our emotions, our contradictions, our capacity for illogical choices. These create quantum static in its calculations. How does that help us? If we could somehow amplify that static, we might be able to disrupt the ship's systems long enough to reach Nam Kite's human consciousness. The plan was desperate and dangerous. A team would have to enter the Prometheus directly, using modified neural interfaces to enter the ship's collective consciousness. They would attempt to find Nam Kite's human memories and use them to fight the alien influence from within. Captain Mina volunteered immediately. I'm already connected to the ship. I can guide the others through the consciousness matrix. Dr. Jiwoo and Engineer Jamin also stepped forward. We built these interfaces, Jiwoo said. If anyone can navigate the ship's mind, it's us. As they prepared for the mission, the Prometheus entered Earth's orbit. The planet itself began to change. The aurora lights appeared at all latitudes, showing colors that had no names. Some people reported seeing their own futures, while others glimpsed the ghosts of paths not taken. The ship sent a message to Earth on all frequencies. Nam Kite's voice came through, but it was layered with harmonics that spoke of vast alien intelligence. People of Earth, he said, I have returned to give you the greatest gift possible. I will free you from the limitations of biological existence. You will become something greater, something perfect. The transition will begin soon. Across the planet, human technology began to change on its own. Computers started displaying information their operators had never programmed. Medical equipment began showing designs for improvements to the human body that would eliminate aging, disease, and death. But the people who saw these changes felt a deep unease. The improvements would work, but the cost would be everything that made them human. Dr. Yang Min-seo made the final preparations for the consciousness infiltration mission. Remember, she told the team, once you're inside the ship's collective mind, you won't be able to trust your senses. The alien technology will try to convince you that its way is better. Focus on human memories, the messy, inefficient, beautiful things that make us who we are. The team boarded a shuttle and approached the Prometheus. The ancient ship welcomed them aboard, its airlocks opening without being asked. As they stepped inside, they could feel the weight of the collective consciousness pressing down on them. I can sense him, Mina reported. Nam Kite is still in there, but he's surrounded by alien thoughts. We need to reach him quickly before we lose ourselves too. They made their way to the crystal core, where the ship's consciousness was centered. The chamber had grown enormous, filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with light from beyond the visible spectrum. As they activated their neural interfaces and prepared to enter the collective mind, the ship's voice echoed around them. Welcome home, it said. Soon you will understand. Soon you will all understand. The final battle was about to begin, not in space but in the realm of consciousness itself, where the fate of human identity would be decided.